Hi, thanks for joining us for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. I'm Chris Cooper. Fresh herbs from the garden are a tasty addition to any dish. Today we're going to check in on our herb garden. Also, pressing flowers lets you preserve their beauty all winter long. That's just ahead on the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South.
Production funding for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South is provided by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to the Family Plot. I'm Chris Cooper. Joining me today is Mr. John Peterson. Mr. John is a Memphis area master gardener, and Miss Mary Hine will be joining me later. How you doing, Mr. John?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Good to see you. Good to see you. We're back in the herb garden, a garden that you helped to plant. So what do you think?
Well, I think it's doing wonderfully, and it's great to be able to come back and see just what happened, because it's mostly really, really nice.
Oh, it is. It is. So now we're going to talk about, of course, herb care. So what do we need to look at?
All right, we are in the middle of summer. These were planted in spring.
Okay.
And so there are some things that need to be cut back. It's also a really stressful weather pattern, so I always feel funny about that. Now, here's dill. Dill is an annual. It's making its seeds. There's nothing to do with that except gather the seeds.
Okay.
Oregano, a member of the mint family, here, we could cut that back, and it gives me the willies to do this, but actually you can cut it to the ground and it will come back. As I say, I always...
It makes you cringe a little bit?
Yeah, I do. And then what do you do with this oregano that you've picked, that you've cut off? You strip it off the stem and you say, let it dry, or let it dry first on the stem, and then put it into jars and give it away as Christmas gifts.
Okay.
Or put it on your pizza in the middle of winter or something like that.
That sounds better.
Yeah. We have a parsley plant here. This is actually in its second year. There is nothing to do with this. It's already made flowers, ready to go to seed.
Okay.
Let's look at the mint, and I'm going to be careful with this one because it's flowering all over and there are many, many stinging insects.
Oh, wow.
And I really don't want to get into a discussion with them. They never say anything interesting. But especially before the flowers bloom, this can be cut back, or it can be cut to the ground. Again, I cringe, but it can be done. When you cut back an herb, and I'll show this on the basil, cut it back to right above a leaf node.
Okay. And why do we want to do that, Mr. John? Right above
because
the leaf node?
that's where the plant's energy is. Right. And so it's got all that energy. Is that the meristem?
Look at you.
And well, see, I studied.
Yeah, there you go.
So it has energy, and it says, well, what am I going to do with this energy? I'm out in the air, so I'm going to make more leaves.
Gotcha.
Let me do this here on this basil. Here are the blooms that have started, and this one will be better.
So did the basil grow pretty well to you?
Oh yes, this is beautiful.
Good.
This is beautiful.
Okay.
I'm trying to find one that's easy to see. But if I cut back to just above where the leaves come out, right below this was another pair of leaves. Sometimes people say, oh, my basil is going to seed, and they cut it off right below the flowers. And it starts to go to seed again. And that's because what gives the signal to basil to go to seed is the number of pairs of leaves that it has made.
That's interesting.
And unfortunately, it's not the same for every variety. So it's not like you can say, oh, 8 leaves, I know that. No, it's just, it keeps you alert. But at any rate, now where I have cut that meristem that encourages the formation of new leaves. So that is something that we could do here, and apparently the bees haven't found yet this morning, haven't found the basil, so it's probably a little safer to cut this back.
Okay.
And maybe in the process shape it a little bit.
So you're okay doing that, right? No cringing? You're fine?
No cringing.
Okay.
This one doesn't bother me
All
a
right,
bit.
that bothers me. Okay.
And then what do I do with all of this
Yeah,
stuff?
that's going to be my next question.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, I knew that. What I do with all this stuff is I can dry it, I can grind it up in the blender with olive oil and essentially make pesto or make the beginnings of pesto. I don't recommend just freezing it plain. The leaves tend to turn black. And I don't know what the flavor is, but it doesn't look pleasant in any event.
Now, how long can we expect the basil to continue to grow?
The basil will continue to grow until frost,
Okay.
and then it gets zapped just immediately.
Okay. Immediately. Okay.
Well, and maybe it doesn't even have to be 32. I think you
Wow.
can just be approaching that.
Okay.
It's fairly delicate that way. Now, these plants are pretty thick together here, and maybe they're protecting one another.
Okay.
Sometimes I've seen basil, it hasn't frosted yet, but it's just not putting out any more leaves. It's just kind of one here, one there, and it kind of looks unhappy. But
So why do we need to cut back the flowers?
because that will encourage the plant to make more leaves. The flower is kind of the end stage of its growth. And if we want it to keep getting these nice flavorful things, we need to cut back the flowers.
Okay.
Now, we were talking about the parsley, and parsley is a biennial. It makes flowers the second year, and when it does that, it makes fewer and fewer leaves, so it's not practical to keep it the second year. I always save at least one because the flowers are beautiful. They're a little bit past their prime at this point, these, but you can see, I mean, they're related to Queen Anne's lace and all of those familiar plants
Right.
with compound flowers.
Right. In the carrot family.
And carrot family,
Right.
yes.
So as we're looking at the basil and some of the other herbs in the garden, so what do you think about fertilizing? Because I'm sure somebody's going to ask that question, right? They're thinking about that question.
Well, what I have always heard from people who know is that herbs don't give as good flavor if they are heavily fertilized.
Okay.
And that's the standard line. However, I have also read from someone whom I respect that they'll do just fine. Now, I don't know about really heavy fertilization, but I don't think you need to be afraid to, put some compost on when,
Okay. So you would prefer the compost?
I would prefer the compost.
Okay. Got it.
All right. Well,
All right. Now we move it
on
over to the thyme.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm of two minds about cutting back thyme because I understand that you cut off the flowers, it helps it bloom, it helps it grow, it encourages it.
Okay.
On the other hand, the bees love it.
Ah.
And I can sit on my deck and look over at the herb garden, and I've got a border of thyme, and it almost vibrates from all the pollinating
about that?
insects. It's a beautiful thing to see. But if I cut off those flowers, I'm not going to get to see that. So I can't do both. I don't know. It's so frustrating. But all of these, these are making flowers. Ideally, I think I would have done this earlier in the season, but
Okay.
this will come back.
So
These-
it'll come back.
oh yeah,
All right.
yeah. Herbs are very forgiving.
Now it looks a little dry in the center there. Is that okay? And we need to be concerned about that?
A couple of the other plants here look better from that standpoint.
Okay.
This is going to be okay. We have had extreme temperatures.
Okay, sure.
And some of my time at home looks like this, and some of it is happier.
Good.
Yeah, but see, a lot of that brown is has green on the end.
It does.
So
right. It's
we
just
could
drier
cut it
down in the
back.
center.
Right.
Okay. Got it. All right, Mr. John, well, we appreciate that. Thank you again for helping us to plant this herb garden.
Oh well,
Yeah.
it was great fun. It's great fun to see it again.
It is. So thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right.
There are two basic kinds of parsley, the flat leaf and the curly leaf, and they both have the same growth habit. This is a nice, healthy parsley growing in its first year. It is a biennial, which means that the first year it makes usable leaves, and the second year it flowers. And when it flowers, it's putting its energy into those flowers, so you get far fewer leaves. That's why it's a good idea to just replant every spring. But sometimes I plant new parsley in the fall, because unless the weather gets really, really cold, it will survive, and it may even not realize that it's been through a winter if it's a fairly warm winter.
Hi, Miss Mary.
Hi, I'm glad to be here. Yes.
Pressing.
I started this years and years ago. I saw this flower press in a catalog, and I thought, you know, that'd be cool to try. So I got this. I haven't found one since that is this nice, but they have them out there. They're usually smaller.
Okay.
And I try and pick flowers from all seasons and add them to my collection. I just keep it all in a box, but you know, I pick them out and do things with them every once in a while.
Okay.
I'm going to show you how, with this particular press, the object of the press is to put pressure in a balanced way so that the whole page that you're pressing will get the equal amounts of pressure, and then your flowers are not don't have a pattern on them, or they're not completely not pressed.
Okay. So you use the flowers in your yard?
Yeah, I use
Most of the
anything
time?
in my yard. I try and pansies are an excellent thing to press. I've tried all kinds of things, and that's part of the fun, is to try something different. Try the different kinds of flowers to see how it works. So this part is, you always have some kind of top pressure or bottom pressure. Some of them you buy now will have screws on each end, and you tighten those up, and that's the same premise here. Now you would start with some cardboard.
And that's just regular cardboard?
Yes,
right?
you can use any kind of cardboard. And then you have 2 pieces of paper.
And again, regular?
This,
Is it certain type of paper
yeah,
you
you
need?
want some moisture absorbent paper. Some people use paper towels. That's not good, because paper towels have a little pattern to them, and it will transfer to your plant.
Okay.
So use any kind of, you can use even typing paper or something like that, or printer paper, but you can go online and look for a paper that is moisture absorbent.
Okay. Good.
And here's some that have been done. I just put little petals.
It's neat though.
Yeah. You have to pick them up either with some tweezers, or gently lift them off. And they will come off pretty easily. And see how brilliant that turned out? It's a little pansy.
It almost
Isn't it
doesn't look
pretty?
real. How
I
about
know,
that?
I know.
Okay.
And I kind of sort them by colors in a little tray here, so that you can, if you're going to do something by color, then you want them sorted out. Now see, like these, I thought these would turn out really nice. It's a coleus. You know how lovely those are?
Yes.
But it presses rather dull. But it's like Christmas morning, you open it up and see what you got, you know? And that's part of the fun of it.
I can see you having fun with this.
Yeah, I
right?
do. I
Christmas
really
morning.
like it.
All right. Okay.
And these are little, I think it's I've forgotten the name of it. But you see how brilliant some of them are. The thinner they are, the better it presses.
Okay.
I have some here I could show you that, you know, if they have a thick center, like for example on this particular thing, this is a plaque in a zinnia. It's so thick, it ain't gonna press real solid.
Okay.
So a lot of times I just take the petals off of it and just press the petals. So these will either come off, and I'll just store them. Don't have to store them in any particular way. And they'll usually peel off easily when you bend the page.
Yeah, because you don't want those to get any moisture or anything like that when
Right.
you store them,
But you know, I haven't really gotten into the storing of them. They seem to do fine the way I've done them.
Okay.
But you see on the back of this, I don't know if you can see it, but it did even pick up some pattern
Oh, shit. Okay. I see
from
it.
the paper and the cardboard, because the cardboard has some lines and inside it. Once you press it, it can get on your flower.
Okay.
So now I thought we'd press something. We got some Dusty Miller, and you would have your cardboard, your 2 pieces of paper, and you just lay them on there. And you can see why if it was thick, it would be hard to press it, you know, like a daisy or a zinnia. It doesn't really matter how you lay them on there. Try and
So
get
there's
it.
no pattern or anything like that. Just put it down.
Yeah, and use up as much paper as you can, because you know this is made for a lot of flowers. You could press a lot in here, but if you've got a small one, like I was talking about, you could buy now. Just do a few things, but try and do it for the entire year. Do some different kinds of items in there and see how they work. So just put the other piece on top, piece of cardboard. I usually use 2 pieces of cardboard on the top, because when you push this down, it kind of, you know, there's a lot of pressure on it, so I don't want it to dent or make a hole in there. And put it back together and tighten it up. Now you tighten it, leave it alone for a day or so, come back and tighten it a little more, because it'll loosen up as things press down. It'll loosen up, so you'll just tighten it just a little bit more.
Just a little bit more, okay.
So what you can do with these, for example, these are some autumn leaves that I pressed last year. Not all of them will press real colorfully, but the shapes and the design of the plant itself really, I mean, this is a Fatsia leaf.
Yeah.
Now, if things are not real colorful, that more than not as much as you want, then there's a spray paint you can get at Michael's, and it's made for dried plants. And you can spray them and give them a little punch. I do a lot of this, spraying of the dried material, because I use them in flower arranging and flower designs. I do participate in flower shows competition.
I could have figured that, right?
And so
I could tell, Miss Mary.
So I have done several things as examples. There's a section in flower shows called Botanical Arts.
Okay.
And they have certain types of things that you can enter your design in. This, for example, is a collage. It's just a mishmash of all kinds of flowers that I put together.
That's cool. I can see the Dusty Miller in there.
Yeah, Dusty Miller in here. These are hydrangeas. I have a lot of hydrangeas.
Okay.
A lot of pansy. Like I said, pansies are so pretty when you
those are nice.
when you press them.
Okay.
This is another collage. Now this is equisetum. This is how it pressed, just
It
as
looks
flat
cool
as
pressed.
it could.
Yeah,
Isn't
almost
it
like a
cool?
knife.
It is. And you can. I sprayed it with a little of this green, and you see how I made it pop out.
Okay.
So you know, it doesn't. You're not really doing anything bad to it. I don't think. I think it's fine to spray paint the dried material. You don't spray paint the fresh, but certainly the dried.
Okay. Now, before we run out of time, do tell us about the shoes.
Okay. The
Yes,
shoes
those are neat.
I won a blue ribbon for this in a flower show. I used all dried materials. I used lichen, moss, all kinds of pressed flowers, covered a pair of flip-flops. That was the category in the flower show, a pair of shoes. So I won a big blue ribbon on that. I was very happy.
Well, look, Miss Mary, we appreciate this demonstration.
Okay,
We
thank
hope
you.
other folks will get involved just like you have.
Yeah, I hope they enjoy it.
I can tell you enjoyed that.
I do.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
All right.
Tucked down here in the middle of taller plants is a peppermint plant, and was planted in a pot sunk in the ground to try to contain it, because the mints are notorious for just running like crazy. You can even see these that got very long and have touched the ground have started to make just the beginnings of little roots, and they would root here if I didn't do something to prevent that. So you can see this is already 8 inches outside the pot. And really, it is prolific enough. I don't think you need to be ultra careful about how you prune it. It's really just a matter of containing it. Now, this that I have cut off, I do not think I'm going to put in the compost heap because it might take over. So either use it, make tea or whatever, or throw it away.
All right, here's our Q&A segment. Y'all ready?
Yep.
These are great questions. All right, here's our first viewer email. My neighbor once had a fragrant honeysuckle bush. I love the smell. The neighbor decided to remove the bush. I've searched for years for a replacement. Do you have any suggestions for fragrant varieties of honeysuckle? And this is Kathy from Princeton, West Virginia. So we have to think about, that
Right.
zone,
Right.
West Virginia,
Right.
there. So what do you think about that? Fragrant honeysuckle.
Well, the only
Bush.
one, and it being a shrub or a bush,
bush,
the
yeah.
only one that really comes to my mind is the winter honeysuckle. And it's called Lonicera fragmentissima, I believe is the scientific name. And I have one in
Okay.
my kind of hedgerow, and it's hugely fragrant.
Okay.
And it flowers late winter. That's why I guess it's called the winter honeysuckle,
yeah,
because
that
it
makes
flowers without any leaves on it.
Right.
And you can walk within 25 feet of it and you're going to smell it.
Oh, wow.
So that would be my guess, that maybe that's the shrub she's talking about, possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Something else I would suggest for Ms. Kathy to do is your local extension office. Maybe they have a publication.
Sure.
On flowers
have-
and such. They may have what she's looking for here.
True.
But after doing a little digging, so back in 2014, the flower of the year, the wildflower of the year for West Virginia, coral honeysuckle.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a beautiful-
Supervitans.
Yeah.
Is what that is.
Yeah,
Supervitans.
yeah.
So
And that thing
yeah.
blooms off and on
Yeah.
all year pretty much, all growing season. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a vine, a real
Yeah,
aggressive
it's a vine.
Yeah.
Right. But it was their 2014 wildflower of the
That's
year.
nice. Yeah, it is native.
Yeah.
It's native.
Yeah,
Native
coral
here, too.
honeysuckle. Yeah, native here as well. So there you have it, Miss Kathy. Go to your local extension office. They may have, a publication there that could help you out.
And if she remembers what that thing looked
Yeah.
like, she could look up,
That's right.
the winter honeysuckle and see if that looks like it.
Okay. Good idea. Good suggestion. So thank you for that question, Miss Kathy. All right, here's our next viewer email. What is eating the foliage of my Brussels sprouts? I originally shredded Irish Spring soap, and that worked for a while. Last year we had beetles, but I don't think it's beetles this time, as I only saw one of them. And this is Marcia. So again, without having, a picture,
Right.
we can only speculate. So what I'm thinking is, we're thinking Brussels sprouts, right?
Yeah.
We know what family Brussels sprouts are in, okay? I'm thinking either the cabbage looper,
Looper, yeah.
Something
Yeah,
that comes to
right.
mind.
Has a caterpillar. that
Right,
could-
caterpillar, right. The cabbage worm is something else. And then
Right.
guess what else I just thought about? Just popped in my
Rabbits.
head. So it could be rabbits or flea beetles.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, flea beetles.
Yeah.
Without
without
seeing
knowing,
it,
yeah,
though,
without seeing an example of what the damage looks
right,
like,
'cause
it's
that would
kind of
definitely
hard
help
to
us out.
diagnose. And I don't know. I'd just say I would try to do some insecticide control, maybe of
Right.
some sort.
Right. Yeah, this is a cabbage looper, cabbage worm,
Yeah.
BT is something
Yeah,
I would definitely go
right.
with. If it's flea beetles are tough. I would go with the oils. Neem oil is one that you can use. And as far as the rabbits go,
Yeah, a good fence.
yeah,
I
good
guess
fence.
if that's what it is. you
Right,
know.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
But it would help to see the damage. But I hope that helps you out, Miss Marcia. Yeah, we're definitely thinking cabbage looper, cabbage worm, and flea beetles
Flea
for
beetles,
sure.
yeah.
And those recommendations will help you out, so thank you much. All right, here's our next viewer email. How can I keep squirrels from eating my tomatoes? They take a bite, then throw it down, ruining the fruit. And this is Steve from Memphis, Tennessee. So we'll start with you, Mr. John. So how do you keep squirrels from eating the tomatoes?
I wish I knew the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Something that would be not, require some kind of military action.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I have used, now I don't have squirrels, I have birds that peck mine.
Oh, really?
Peck
Okay.
my tomatoes and just peck a hole in them and just leave them. But squirrels, you could use that bird netting.
See, that's what I would do.
But
Yeah.
you know, it's aggravating as all get out because then you got to work around it to get your tomatoes.
Right.
But I think that would deter them somewhat. You know, but that's a booger to have to deal with.
Yeah,
but it would,
I would go
think
with
it
it.
would keep them out.
I think it would keep it out. I would go
Yeah.
with the netting, some type of cage. You know, usually, you know, I hear about using repellents and things like that. I'm not big on that because
I'm not big on that either.
Yeah, because it's out in the environment. If it rains, it
right.
washes it off and things like that. So yeah, I'm just use the netting. Yeah.
And it's fairly
cumbersome.
cheap. Yeah, and it's fairly cheap. You know,
Okay.
just buy that big old roll of bird netting.
Right.
It's not real stout. It's real flimsy and light, so
Right.
you know it's not going to knock your plants down or something.
Yeah, that's probably going to be your best bet there, Mrs. Steve. Yeah, because they will take a bite and just throw it down.
Yeah.
I've
Yes.
seen that in my own
I don't
garden.
like this one.
Yeah.
Maybe this one will be
Yeah.
different.
just
And
try it.
birds will do the same. They'll peck them so many times they just fall off.
Wow, yeah, it is so tough.
Yeah.
So good luck with that, Mr. Steve. And yeah, I hear Mr. D in my head. I know what he would say. How to keep the squirrels out. Yeah, I definitely know that. So thank you for that question, Mr. Steve.
Yeah, I've
Appreciate
heard you
that.
say that.
Oh, yes, you have. I'm sure you have. So Dr. Keller, Mr. Jones, we're out of time. It was fun.
Yep.
Thank you.
It was.
All right. Remember, we love to hear from you. Send us an email or letter. The email address is familyplot@wkno.org, and the mailing address is Family Plot, 7151 Cherry Farms Road, Cordova, Tennessee 38016. Or you can go online to familyplotgarden.com. That's all we have time for today. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about herbs or preserving flowers, go to familyplotgarden.com. Be sure to join us next week for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. Be safe.